I'll never forget the way the city looked that morning, like the glass towers were daring someone like me to walk in and shake things up. If you'd seen me then, just a plain girl from a dirt road town in an old jacket, you probably would have thought I was lost. But I wasn't. I'd been preparing for this moment all my life, even if my hands were shaking a little as I gripped my faded bag and walked through those revolving doors into a place where the air felt thick with money, power, and a whole lot of judgment. The lobby was this sea of movement, high heels clacking, ties straightened, folks glancing at their phones with that look like they were solving world peace. And then there was me, trying to keep my head down while everyone else kept giving me that once-over, like, who let her in here? But the real welcome committee was Richard, head of HR, standing dead center like a traffic cop. Guy had a smile so thin you'd think it'd crack if he tried to mean it. He boomed out, "Emma, right? The country girl who wandered into our big city office." Yeah, that happened. Half the lobby turned to stare, and I swear, every ounce of excitement I'd built up for my first day just about drained out right then. He didn't waste a second making sure I knew my place, either. Sent me off to a sad little corner desk, tossed a pile of paperwork at me, and told me not to bother him unless I did something actually worth his attention. And the looks I got from everyone else? Well, you know how people whisper when they think you're too green to notice. One woman even muttered, "Wonder how long she'll last," and a guy next to her snickered like it was a sure bet I wouldn't survive the morning. That's when you have to decide, swallow the shame or let it turn to something stronger. I tried to keep my cool, even when the ancient copier jammed and Richard came over just to smirk. "Need help with that, country girl?" Yeah, he was enjoying every second, and the laughter that followed stung. But I wasn't about to give him the satisfaction, so I fixed it myself, slowly, sure, but with my jaw set and my mind made up that nobody was running me off that easy. All morning, it was more of the same, tiny tasks, endless copying. Everyone acting like I was invisible or, worse, a joke. At lunch, I ducked into the break room, hoping to hide for a minute, and checked my phone. My best friend Sarah had sent me a message. "Remember, you're smarter than anyone there. Don't let them fool you." And I needed to hear that. I took a deep breath, let it settle in, and got back out there just in time for Richard's next round of humiliation. He made me serve coffee to the senior team, loud enough for everyone to hear, warning me not to spill it and make a mess on our first day. People snickered, and the embarrassment burned, but I kept my hands steady and my head up. But Richard wasn't done. Oh no, he decided to really put me on the spot, asking me to introduce myself to the whole team. He barely let me open my mouth before sneering, "Scared? Thought so. Maybe this corporate world's too much for someone used to open fields." The laughter that followed was sharp, almost cruel, and I felt about an inch tall, but inside, something was shifting, like I'd hit bottom and bounced. Let me back up a sec. See, I didn't just walk into this place hoping to blend in. I'd spent months learning every scrap I could about the company. I'd read the reports, studied the numbers, looked for cracks in the fancy facade. And right then, with everyone watching, I decided if I was going down, I'd do it swinging. So I said, quiet but clear, "If you don't mind, I'd like to share something." There was this hush. Richard thought he was about to see me crash and burn. But I walked over, pulled up a presentation I'd made on my own time, and started talking through real data about how the company could grow, the opportunities they were missing, the digital strategies no one was using yet. I'd even built charts and pulled market insights from customer feedback. At first, people looked skeptical, but then they started to lean in. Someone near the back whispered, "She's right on. This stuff could actually work." The energy in the room flipped. Suddenly, a senior exec asked where I got the info. I told her, public records, market reports, talking to ex-employees, listening to what customers were really saying. Richard tried to regain control, asking what made me think I had any authority, but I just looked him in the eye and said, "The facts speak for themselves. All that's missing is the willingness to try." You could feel the office shift. Some folks started nodding, even murmuring encouragement. For once, Richard was at a loss. The executive said, "Emma, your insights are impressive. Let's hear more." Richard's smirk just about slid right off his face. By the time I finished, people actually clapped, genuine, real applause. When the meeting broke up, a line of employees came over with questions, ideas, even a few thank yous. And Richard? All that swagger had melted away, replaced by a silent, reluctant respect. But here's the kicker, the twist nobody saw coming. As the room quieted, I told them, I owe you an explanation. My name is Emma Parker. I'm the newly appointed CEO of this company. Yeah, jaws hit the floor. Suddenly, that girl in plain clothes everyone had mocked was the boss. I explained I'd wanted to see the real company culture up close, to learn how people treated someone who looked different. I grew up in a rural town, I said, and simplicity's been a choice, not a sign of weakness. I learned the value of grit and honesty long before I ever put on a suit. I sat down, telling them, leadership is about substance, not appearances. Every person here deserves to be judged on their effort and character, not just their resume or their outfit. People listened like they were hearing it for the first time, a few even exchanging stories about their own paths and struggles. From now on, I told them, we're building a culture where everyone is valued, where innovation, empathy, and inclusion come first. And let me tell you, that set off a whole new chapter. The gossip and sneers faded, replaced by curiosity and, soon, genuine respect. Richard was placed on leave, the board citing his behavior as exactly what we were moving away from. He even sat down with me, actually apologized. I told him, growth starts with owning your mistakes. Now let's see you change for real. No drama, no revenge, just an honest chance to do better. We rolled out open forums, mentorships, regular talks about respect and collaboration. Employees started opening up, sharing ideas, and supporting each other. Sarah, my old friend, said, you turned a tough start into a story people will remember. And she was right, not just for me, but for everyone who's ever been overlooked because of how they look or where they came from. By the end of that first month, walking through those halls felt different. People nodded, smiled, asked for advice, not because of my title, but because they saw me as one of them. In the big town hall, I told everyone, my journey wasn't about proving I belonged. It was about proving everyone here belongs, no matter what. So here's my question for you. If you found yourself in my shoes, would you stand your ground or walk away? How do you decide what's right in a place that tries to tell you you're less than you are? I'd love to hear your stories about justice, courage, and the moments that changed everything. Drop a comment below, share your thoughts, and if this hit home, stick around for the next story. Because out here, in the real world, the ones who dare to stand up are the ones who end up changing it for everyone.